What is up, everybody? Welcome to the GSL semifinals and finals. We're wrapping the show up today.
Yeah, could not be more excited to be here at Tasteless. It feels like just a moment ago we're in the round of 12 here in GSL, and we have zoomed at light speed all the way to the semifinals and the finals. Only 4 players remaining this weekend, 2 Terrans, 2 Protoss.
Yeah, no Zergs this time around, no Maru this time around. We were talking about this before when the show started. Like, we just casted Maru getting eliminated yesterday, and even in my head I was like, okay, so Maru's going to probably win this today. And then I'm like, no, he's not here. I just casted this.
It's very unusual not having Maru in the top 4 here in a GSL.
Yeah.
I must say.
We could end up with a Protoss champion. It's been a while. That's that's the rarer race to win GSL. But I think overall, this top 4, it's really tough to call who's actually going to come out on top.
Yeah, we have 4 really strong players here in the GSL in the top 4. It's been a stacked tournament. We went into the round of 8 not really knowing who was going to advance from any of those groups. It looked like for a long time Maru and Rainer actually might have even been the favorites to advance out of their group, and they both dropped out instead. It's just
kind of insane when you think about
result.
When you think about yesterday, the fact that it was Rainer and Maru eliminated is wild.
Yeah, in the elimination
I don't think anybody had that
too.
in a prediction for that, so that's pretty crazy. Yeah, so we're probably gonna have a long, dramatic evening here tonight. Right now, we've got audience members filing into our studio. By the way, guys, as a reminder, the whole nature of StarCraft 2, it's changed. It's not good. It's not bad. It's just different. Consider supporting the GSL by donating to the Patreon. We have these different tiers available, you can see here. But, you know, without publisher support, it is up to the viewers to keep the thing going. So consider it.
Yeah, show your favorite StarCraft 2 tournament some love. I always harp on the benefits of that $10 a month getting the GSL replay package. Just amazing, amazing. I would have paid so much more for that back in my days of trying to compete as a pro gamer. To get like Fruit Dealer replays or something in 2010 would have been such a treat. Don't have to pause through the VOD, looking at the production tab, trying to write things down in your little notebook. It's a new era, 2025. Get those replays yourself. And let's take a look at the matchups here we have in the semifinals. The first semifinal match is going to be 2 players who are pretty aggressive, pretty tricky in their PvT play. It's herO and GuMiho. A lot of players are saying that herO is probably the scariest player in the GSL right now. And then later on, semifinal match number 2, Clasic and Cure. 2, again, very strong players, but a little bit more standard in their play. So it's going to be really an interesting clash no matter what matchup we get in the finals. And I think we're going to have 2 very different series despite them both being TVPs.
Yeah, this is going to be a fun one. You know, it does seem, and we could be wrong. We're definitely going to get to the conclusion of this by the end of the day today, but it does seem like PvT, maybe Protoss are a little bit unwieldy, or maybe that's not the right word to use. Just extremely powerful, hard to punish in late game.
Yeah, the new energy recharge ability adds so much strength to the late game. It's almost like we got Cardarian Army. I don't know how to pronounce that thing. It's been so many years, I don't know how to pronounce this ability anymore.
We got an interview real quick here, guys, and we'll start our match.
All right, so let's go into an interview with herO and GuMiho for semifinal match number 1. So, hi, GuMiho. How is your condition today? How are you feeling? And GuMiho's, well, you know, I'm feeling fine. I'm feeling like I'm in a good shape. You know, so GuMiho, you know, your condition is good, but your opponent coming into this one is going to be herO. herO, how are you feeling right now? And herO's just saying, yeah, you know, I'm enjoying this moment being here on stage. Well, it feels like GuMiho had a really battle for his place here in the top 4 last night, going all the way to the final match. You know, both you players have been very humble coming here into the round of 4, but now you really have to show some good performances to make your way to the finals. And GuMiho says, yeah, you know, well, there wasn't a lot of time to prep for this semifinal match. I don't think it's going to be an easy one, but I have some special tricks prepared here for herO, and I'm going to try my best to win this match. And herO as well is saying, yeah, you know, I was thinking a lot about the potential matchups I might be having here, and then when I found out my opponent's going to be GuMiho, I was thinking, well, what is my approach going to be? But actually went to the sauna to try and clear my headspace a little bit before this match. See Tasteless nodding in approval. When you found out that your opponent was going to be GuMiho, how did you feel about that herO? And herO says, you know, actually, I'm really not very happy about it. GuMiho's a very clever and crafty player, and I'm just going to try my best here in this match. Well, GuMiho, you also said that this is not going to be an easy matchup for you. But what do you think? If you were able to win against herO, do you think it's going to be a 3-0? Do you think it's going to be a 3-2? What are you expecting? And GuMiho says, you know, I feel like even if I win this one, it's probably going to be a 3-2. I'm expecting it to go all the way to map number 5. And as for herO, he says, you know what, I'm not trying to disrespect GuMiho at all, but I'm feeling confident. You know what, I want a 3-0. And the Korean cast is like, okay, GuMiho, hearing that, are you still saying 3-2? Don't you want to fight back and say it's going to be 3-0? Anyway, well, you guys are now back here in the GSL finals. herO, you completed your military service, and you've really been a success story returning from that. Do you have any trash talk you want to give to your opponents? And he was like, you know what? I mean, the reality is that herO's a really strong opponent. I'm just going to try my best to take him down tonight. And as for herO, he's saying, you know, well, I'm really excited that my opponent's going to be GuMiho. I think we're going to have a very fun match, and I'm going to try my best. All right. I mean, I agree with both of them. I feel like this is a series that very easily could go to map number 5, and herO and GuMiho both have such creative play styles, and especially on herO's side of things, he's so aggressive. Just, I think it was Cure who said earlier on in this GSL in an interview that it feels like claustrophobic playing against herO in TVP. It feels like he gives you no space to breathe, and we've seen that over herO's series thus far in this GSL. I think it's going to be a very interesting clash of styles, and I'm very excited to get into this one, Tasteless.
Yeah, I mean, this series should look really different, right? You know, herO and GuMiho both have such specific approaches to the matchup. You know, GuMiho, I think this guy has more builds than anybody I've ever seen in StarCraft 2. The only other player that comes to mind is Special, actually. He's always had, like, just more openers than anybody I can think of. But in Korea, as far as GSL is concerned, GuMiho kind of does everything. In fact, the one thing you always know consistently with GuMiho is that the games will look wildly different. That's the one consistent thing about him. herO is a bit of an innovator in all the matchups. And if, you know, we have a lot of whining about Protoss, but if this is the case that Protoss actually is strong, herO should be able to just stay into late game and crush there.
Yeah, and the thing about herO is that historically in PvT, he's been one of the best early game players in this matchup for a very long time. His blink stalker control is phenomenal. He's really good at identifying opportunities to go for timing attacks, to find angles of attack that maybe another Protoss player of equal caliber wouldn't. And he also has the killer instinct to just go for it in moments where it's a little bit hazy about whether it's going to be success. And sometimes it's like he's able to wring water from a stone. It's just miraculous what he's able to do. And so the fact that now we have energy recharge available in the arsenal for herO, you know, he already has such a good early game. Once he heads into that mid and late game, that Templar transition is going to be so much easier. It's usually a really rocky point in PvT where you're trying to go from that early game stage into Storm to try and stabilize into the mid and late game. Now, I feel like it's going to be much harder for a player like GuMiho to actually just break the shell of herO, even if you want to be on the offensive.
Yeah, I mean, GuMiho, if I was him coming into this matchup, I think this is a lot more about going for, like, the knees, going for the legs, trying to kind of take the Protoss down before things get out of hand. Anyways, this is a best of 5, guys. Once we finish this up, we'll be going to the other side of the bracket for the other best of 5. One of these two players is moving on into the finals of Season 1 of the GSL here. Will it be herO or will it be GuMiho? We're going to find out. I thought the game would have loaded up by now. I keep trying to drag this out. This is just taking way longer than I thought. All right, guys, we're ready. Finally, game 1 is good to go.
Let's do it.
Oh, my God. All right. Okay, in the top left, in the blue is herO. In the bottom right, in the red is GuMiho. And we already have a probe being jettisoned across the map.
Yeah, real early scout here for herO. Might even just send that out of the initial starting workers, how early this guy is coming across the map. And this is something that we see players do against GuMiho a little bit more often than the other Terrans, just because he, as you said, Tasteless, has so many different builds. Very often he will just go for a 2-gas opening. And so sending this probe early like this guarantees that you're going to get that probe into the main base of Terran. You're going to be able to see, all right, is it going to be 2-gas? Are you trying any tricks? Is there like maybe a Makarok that's on the map or something like that? It gives you a lot of information, and against a player like GuMiho, I think it's absolutely worth it. You're going to lose a little bit of mining time back at home, obviously, because that probe is not working, but against GuMiho, it really is a game of intelligence, because if you can kind of just discern what sort of pitch he's going to throw you, it's a lot easier to come up with the right response. And against somebody with as versatile and various builds as GuMiho has, that can be the difference between winning a best-of-5 and losing it.
Yeah. We've got this scouting probe coming out here now. Both sides are going to be getting a Nexus and a command center here as the money banks up.
GuMiho really doesn't like this probe.
yeah. I mean, it can be annoying, man. He's going to actually go back in one more time. He's just double-checking. There's no add-on or anything, no surprises there at the barracks, and he's going to try to get that probe back home to safety.
Yeah, as it is, a relatively standard opening here for GuMiho. Just a 1-gas expand off of the Reaper, command center on the low ground, and same for herO, just going for that 1-gate Nexus, building the second assimilator. We haven't really seen a lot of Protoss players experiment with energy recharge in early game PvT that much, except I'm thinking about this. I think Maru might have been the only guy who went like Stalker into Sentry and then recharged the Sentry for hallucination. Besides that, usually we've seen Protoss players in PvT mostly just using the energy recharge in the late game on their Templar. But here we have herO actually opting for the Sentry after the Adept. So this might be, again, herO just showing a lot of respect for his opponent GuMiho. He doesn't want to be caught off guard by anything tricky that GuMiho might try. And a great way of doing that is to go for a Sentry, to pop the energy recharge on it, to immediately send a hallucinated scout, and just be able to discern what it is that GuMiho is doing. I love this approach for herO, specifically against GuMiho. I think this really plays well into the matchup.
So it's going to be a little bit quiet here to start this game off. We've got the 1-1-1 tech coming here from Terran. We've got the Twilight Council warping in here for Protoss. I wouldn't be shocked if we have Blink, a third base, and some pressure, or maybe even just a Robo a little bit later on and some kind of Blink pressure. herO's had a lot of success with that. That being said, that style, and it is going to be Blink, that style has been around for a while, and whenever you have even like really strong builds, even like really robust openers, when they've been in the ecosystem for a long time, no matter how good they are, the opposing side does get better and better against that. But so we'll see how well GuMiho fares against that style, if that's the direction the game is going in. But for now, it's going to be pretty standard stuff across the board.
Yeah, just a 3-gate opening here for herO. He was able to confirm with that hallucinated Phoenix Scout that it was a 2-1-1 opening here for GuMiho, and the Cyclone actually able to connect here with this Phoenix, potentially denying scouting, although we'll use the speed zone and try and skirt around the edge of the map to just double check, see where the add-ons are on the barracks, on the factory, exactly what GuMiho is going for. You can see GuMiho trying to preempt that hallucinated Phoenix by going all the way to the 3 o'clock position on the mini-map there with the Cyclone, but herO is able to find his way around. Throwing down now a Forge in an extremely fast Templar Archives, Tasteless. I actually don't think I've seen herO do this in quite a while. Usually he typically opts for some kind of Blink pressure into a fast third base and then we'll go into Storm, but this is a 4-gas, 2-base, Forge and Templar Archives on 3 gateways with no Robo. Very interesting mix-up coming in from our Protoss player.
I think this is actually defensive state. I think what he wants to do, because, a lot of, I think PvT, it's changed a decent amount. I mean, we've had patches and meta shifts and new maps and everything, but it seems like a lot of the times the Protoss wants to try to get in there. Terran, excuse me, was what I meant to say, wants to try to get in there and get damage and try to get pickoffs and stuff. And, one thing about, the ability to just give Templars the energy now is that you can kind of have a Templar or two parked at every base and just storm stuff as they attack in, and it's probably going to be kind of like this turtling style of Protoss. Now, we got a double medevac drop inbound here. If there was going to be a strong moment to hit, it would be now before these gateways really kick in, before the third base, the money from that starts to really come in. And it's not actually going to be a drop in the main. He's going to just try to push in the front. I think what he's trying to do is guess where exactly the weak spot would be. herO actually had the Stalkers out, I think, to intercept the drop. And the stutter step micro forward here from GuMiho is pretty crazy. I mean, he's got plenty. The probes are going to come in now. He snipes down a bunch of those. The Stalkers are still extremely squishy.
Yeah, Storm only just now completing, but most of the Marines have already dispersed. There's only a couple of them left. For GuMiho, this is excellent value. Even losing a medevac, I think you don't mind that too much. He's almost going to get that sentry, but in total, the Stalker count gets reset. A ton of Zealots died. We lost, what, 6 probes there for herO. I think that was a really good trade for GuMiho, and excellent timing with those two medevacs full of Marines. Right when Sim finished, hitting the moment before Storm was done. If that push came in 15 seconds later, GuMiho would have been in a lot of trouble. Storm would have cleaned that up. Those Stalkers could have blinked on top of the medevacs and basically just stopped all momentum from this push. But instead, GuMiho trading very effectively. He's able to take about a 10 supply lead now. And behind this, he's continuing to play a macro game. He is not going to be going, pedal to the metal here with this push. He's taking a third base. He's adding an engineering base back at home. Armory is coming through. Additional barracks are online. I was kind of expecting GuMiho to play more of a timing attack-oriented style here against herO, but I really am liking this opening here from him in game number 1, just going for this early pressure into a macro play.
Yeah, we're in a different game, though, now, right? I mean, Storm's done. Oh, did he actually? I actually missed that. Did the War Prism see the medevac?
I don't think so.
Okay, so they just barely missed each other. But yeah, we're in a game with Storm now, so it's going to be important to see, how the Terran can try to engage. Keep in mind that, with siege tanks at play here, and Widow Mines coming out here as well, you might have these kind of pushes from Terran that look a little bit like some of the pushes we've seen against Zerg, where you set up a position at a distance and try to run in and run back out and run in and run back out versus trying to just overwhelm a position, which I think there's been a lot of TVZs where, the Terran just tries to come in and smash a spot. I think Storm's going to be very good against that. This is a double Zealot drop that is not going to warp in anything. He's not committing down to this.
Just trying to get some damage done. I actually really like the micro there from herO with the Zealots to bait the Widow Mine shot into the SCVs, get them all on the right, and then immediately get out of there. If herO comes in again with that Warp Prism and is able to get a round of Zealots off and hit that mineral line, those SCVs are going to go down really quick. There's a lot of injured SCVs now in that main base, so that's something that GuMiho is going to have to keep in the back of his mind. As for now, he's been able to quarter off this Warp Prism, force a recall out from herO. GuMiho, he's going for Drilling Claws, by the way. So he is looking to play a very Widow Mine-centric style, which I think is going to line up well against what herO is doing, because keep in mind, herO, he went for those really early Templar. He lost a lot of Stalkers early on to that Marine push. Actually, hold that thought, Tasteless. herO's moving at a timing that I think nobody really was expecting. He's just actually pouncing on this. Great Storm there on the top right side. Stalker's able to take down one of the siege tanks here. Another Storm whiffs a little bit there, mostly just zoning away the bio. The follow-up Storms, though, fantastic. Just never-ending storms. It's a Cat 5 Hurricane breaking down GuMiho's third base. I don't think he saw this timing coming a mile away. And suddenly, the command center is lifting. 20 SCVs are dead, and all of that energy gathering on the Templar is just paying dividends here for herO. What a huge investment. GuMiho was looking rock solid, is caught out of position for a blink of an eye, and herO has just turned this game on its head.
Yeah, I mean, is this just over? I don't know that, yeah, I mean, with another Storm here, I don't think there's any way to hang on here. The SCVs are going to be pulled, but with Archons, that's going to melt that pretty fast. GG, herO, and a decisive victory takes game 1. And, I was saying at the start of this, it's probably going to be a defensive game where the Protoss is going to keep expanding and using Storms to hold off attacks. Never mind that. He had just a very, very sharp move to come in there, cut down the defenses, and wreck GuMiho. It makes me wonder, State, do you think that the medevac drop, maybe he lost a little bit too much there?
I feel like it lined up well with what he was aiming to do. The point that I was making before, because it seemed like GuMiho's game plan was to go into the Widow Mines, herO is playing a 4-gas style. He's going into Templar. He's trying to eventually tech up to a second Forge and Colossi. All these things cost a lot of gas, so going in there with a double medevac drop and trading out just basically Marines for Stalkers and also getting some worker kills, that's going to mean that herO doesn't have quite as much range damage. He's going to be relying a lot more on Zealots. And so for GuMiho, if that game were to go longer, that's going to translate into value with the Widow Mines. But herO was just able to catch him out of position where GuMiho's army was mostly sequestered off at the natural expansion. And he did not see herO coming. So herO just with a fantastic timing attack, able to take game number 1. Let's go into game 2 now of this best of 5. herO leading 1-0.
Okay, herO top left, GuMiho bottom right. Yeah, I mean, let's see what GuMiho can do here. The openers for that were very textbook, very standard. Nobody was trying to cut corners. Nobody was cheesy. Nobody was all-inning. Nobody was being crazy greedy. But yeah, herO just showing, kind of a solid approach to the game. It's funny because, certain build orders are really exciting, and then there's other build orders that, frankly seem kind of straightforward and boring. But, I got to say, what herO did looked really strong and kind of all-encompassing. You know what I mean? I don't look at what herO did back there and think, oh, Terran just needs to change this and that, and they'll be able to do a ton of damage or win the game.
Oh, the We Are GSL sign. It's a piece of history right there.
So nice having everybody here in the studio, by the way. It was a long time with no GSL, by the way. We went 11 months. It was basically the Esports World Cup and then no professional StarCraft 2 for a while. So it's so good to be back here. It's so good to see you guys after the show and say hi and everything. Yeah, so glad to be back. So we're still waiting for things to develop here. But if I had to guess, if I had to bet, I think it's probably going to be Stalker with Blink again. In fact, outside of a crazy cheese, I think all the games are going to kind of look like that.
Yeah.
Defensive Blink, a third base, maybe opportunities for the Terran to come in with the 2 medevacs. I mean, that's when I think there's a pretty big power spike for Terran is when the second medevac comes out, because you can just move so much more and heal double, right? Mm-hmm. So you could snowball certain fights. But yeah, let's see if there's any kind of deviations from that.
I feel like in a best of 5, herO might mix in a Stargate play in 1 or 2 games. I think that's possible. But the thing is, Tasteless, is that if this kind of Blink into Fast Storm style continues to work for him, he might not feel the need to mix it up in the first place, right? So I'm kind of expecting him to do something pretty similar to game number 1, just be really proactive with the scouting. He's doing the exact same opening he did, more or less, to game number 1 with the Stalker into the Sentry. I think last game was Adept into the Sentry, but the same idea of energy recharging the Sentry and getting a Hallucination Scout just to see exactly what GuMiho's up to. And this time there's a lot more information to glean from that hallucination than before, because game number 1, GuMiho went for that 1-Rax expand on 1 Vespene Geyser. It was a Reaper expand. It was a very standard opening. Here in game number 2, this is still relatively standard, but it's a bit more nuanced. It's going to be an aggressive play. We have a medevac coming in with a Cyclone. There's going to be some kind of pressure, and herO's going to have to figure out exactly how he wants to deal with this. He's already declared that he's going to go for the Twilight Council, so no Phoenix. And actually, the tech choice is going to be Charge here for herO. And we've seen this work in the past. Oh, with 3 additional gateways. I think actually with the Hallucinated Phoenix, he spotted not just the Cyclone, but perhaps the factory going on to the tech lab. I would have to double check that later on. So I missed it in the moment. But a really fast charge timing could absolutely pay dividends against a fast siege tank push with not a lot of bio support. I love this decision from herO. And you see him already chrono boosting it twice. He wants to get that charge out ASAP. There is a drop now going into the main base. The Cyclone kind of making a distraction here. At the natural expansion means there's no Stalkers here in the main. 2 of them need to get warped in. There is a shield battery, which will assist the defense quite a bit. Medevac has to be very careful.
Ooh! Did he actually get out?
Wow.
Oh my God, it's kind of this weird body block from the Marines.
Mission impossible right there. I am surprised you got any of those Marines out alive. I thought they were just dead.
This is exciting StarCraft right now. A shield battery healing another shield battery? Hell yeah, man. That's going in the highlight reel right there. That's what I'm talking about.
herO had such a beautiful read on this, by the way, because we already have the SCVs getting pulled. Charge is about to be done. This is a ludicrously fast charge, Tasteless. The 4 gateways are already finished. herO, if he's able to get like 2 rounds of Zealot Warpins, this might really catch GuMiho off guard. GuMiho's literally on 1 base. This is like a bit-by-bit push from 2011, man.
Yeah, I mean, this is definitely feels like it's from another era here, but the Zealots are here.
Oh, the Stalkers with a great angle on the Liberator here on the high ground, and herO is able to catch GuMiho with a Siege Tank on Siege. GG called immediately. Dude, Charge just the perfect read against no command center. I think that GuMiho was not in a million years expecting Charge to be done.
No, this is happening too fast.
Dude.
All right, listen, we're changing the script. We got to go WWE on this, man. All right, we got to have some fake matches now where GuMiho wins with something. When did we start? We started at 6:30. It's 6:56.
It's been 26 minutes counting like the intro to the show and the interview.
Yeah.
And herO is 1 map win away from going to the finals.
Yeah, we're one herO map away from the audience wanting refunds for their tickets here. This is almost, I can't believe we're almost halfway through this. I don't blame GuMiho for wanting a kind of quick win like that. You know, we've talked about how it seems like Terran probably has to kill the Protoss early. Sometimes there are roles in certain matchups. That did not work. Zealots with Charge decimated that. And you know what's crazy, by the way? It wasn't even like you had to wait for him to get to the base. You know what I mean? To fight it. He just went out on the map and killed him with a bunch of stuff.
Yeah, it's better to do that even because you don't let him get sieged. The Liberator's out of position. The Siege Tank is out of position. And now herO, he's so close to closing this out, Tasteless. We're going to go into map number 3 on ley lines. GuMiho fighting for his life here at the GSL Code S. herO fighting for a berth at the GSL Finals.
Guys, give GuMiho your energy.
I want more games.
I want more games.
This is going a little bit too fast for me.
This is actually...
I'm all for excitement and quick matches, but...
yeah.
Wow.
So, you know, GuMiho, I don't know what he's going to do here, but it's going to have to work. That game, obviously, Terran's doing a very... quick 1 base timing. It seems like, you know, with the Twilight Council there, herO had the right read, like just get Charge. Charge basically is going to stop you from ever getting overwhelmed by anything. SCV or you know, Marine, all that. There's the 9-tailed fox, the 4-tailed fox.
It's got 5 more tails.
There's 5 more tails back there.
That's perspective.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, herO just had a beautiful read in that last game, and you can tell that I think literally every single time the Observer panned over herO's base, Charge was getting chrono boosted. He's like, you know what, I don't need an extra probe. I just need Charge as fast as possible, and even going for 4 gateways like that, no robo, nothing like that, just extremely fast 4 gateways, probably even with a probe. I have to go back and watch the replay later to confirm. herO was just all hands on deck in terms of how do we stop this? He had the perfect read on what to do. And catching GuMiho with Charge finishing just in that perfect moment, right at the gate, right when the Liberator is out of position and the Siege Tank is out of position, is a way to just completely slaughter a push like that. I don't think there's anything that GuMiho can do micro-wise to win with that push. herO just has the answer. And this is kind of where the game is at right now with the Sentry Hallucination. It's hard to make builds like what GuMiho did work unless you get a little bit lucky and say herO was already opting to go for a Stargate. Then I could absolutely see GuMiho winning game number 2 with that build. But it's a little bit coin flippy. You know, I feel like maybe if GuMiho had gone for a Siege Tank push off of 2 bases, well, then suddenly the Charge is a little bit less valuable. You know, Charge doesn't scale that well as the armies get bigger because the Zealots are going to struggle to get more service area. There's going to be a lot more bio to actually support the Siege Tanks. Of course, it's still the tech of choice to have in that situation, but I don't think we're going to see another 1 base build like that one coming out from GuMiho in this entire series unless there's like a Marauder proxy in Game 4 or Game 5 or something, right? I think it's got to be, if it's going to be pressure, it's going to have to be some kind of solid pressure that can't just get basically kneecapped by herO going for this perfect response.
So, I mean, it's, you know, again, it's kind of the same formula as at play here. It'll come down to a different ideas and execution from GuMiho to take it. herO looking so strong. I really, by the way, I hope whether it's this series or the next one, I hope we get a long late game PvT. I would love to explore that a little bit more. I feel like we got a glimpse into it already this season, but it looked pretty tough, at least from what I saw for the Terran. But I want to see what other ideas could be at play here. Once again, we have a drop coming out. This time it's going to be the 1 medevac.
And we're actually going to have heavy Cyclone play coming in from GuMiho. He's been able to make it work so far in this GSL, actually.
Yeah. It does feel like when things start to go bad for GuMiho, he just gets a lot of Cyclones.
It's just like it's his midnight bowl of ice cream.
Yeah.
When he's stress eating, he's like, no.
Yeah.
Like, this is not going well. Give me some Cyclones,
give me more
please.
Cyclones. Okay, there's actually a blind spot here.
Maru made the same mistake.
Yeah. Oh no.
I mean, there is a shield battery here. herO, by the way.
Pylon.
Yeah. Well, I mean, even then, the shield battery is just going to heal it up. I think it's smart to go for the probes here.
I have learned nothing. We already saw this happening. Batteries healing batteries.
Well, yeah, we usually don't see shield batteries out this early. I think this is just herO showing a lot of respect specifically for GuMiho and his playstyle.
Yeah.
Going for like the early hallucination scout in game 1 and game 2, the super early probe scout in game 1, the shield battery in basically every single map.
Well, you know what? I think this is also, game 2 was a bit of a statement, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like if you played, like we both played in tournaments before. Like when you're in a series and like they do something super cheesy that backfires, don't you feel like you're so confident all you have to do is play even more conservatively the next game, and you're going to be fine?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
There can be a little bit of that.
You're really afraid of this being a long game, so yeah, let's just throw down a battery here. Just like let's cross our T's, dot our I's, and make sure nothing can get us. This is a pretty sophisticated little push coming out here.
Yeah.
A Raven. Is it 1 Raven, right?
I think it's one Raven
and 1 medevac. Three cyclones. Partridge in a pear tree.
Sesame Street the count.
Oh, nasty pick up there.
Now, Blink is really good in a situation like this one, especially when you have enough stalkers to one-shot Cyclones, which I think herO is basically at. Oh, middle of the map. We're actually having a little bit of a skirmish right there. See some of those stalkers battered and bruised. I think 1 Marine went down. And herO with these moves is looking just to pick off Cyclones. And behind this, 2 more factories and armory. GuMiho is going mech. Specifically, I believe he is going battle mech. He's also getting cloak banshees, which...
Yeah, in fact, I don't know if herO is going to be ready for that. We don't have an observer out. Wait, no, I'm sorry. We have 2?
I don't know if we have observers. We do have a Robo. There is an Immortal in production. But
I might have missaw the production tab. They switched like right when I glanced.
Yeah.
But I mean, if you don't have an observer with that Banshee, and I'm imagining a situation where the Banshee was going to push with it, I guess he's going to try to come in here, actually. So this could actually fish away some of the Stalkers trying to defend.
You know, part of the problem here, though, for GuMiho is that herO's already playing so safe because of GuMiho is just known for his early game TBP antics that there's already 2 shield batteries. There's one in the natural and there's one in the main base on the mineral lines. We also see one here at the 3rd base. So unless you have 2 Banshees, you're not going to be killing those probes all that quickly because of the healing that's going to come through.
Yeah.
So herO doesn't even really need to section off that many Stalkers to go back and defend that until that 2nd Banshee comes in. Instead, you have everything here in the front. Ooh, really nice micro there by GuMiho. The Stalker shot is a projectile, so you can lift up Cyclones like that and just completely negate the damage.
It's not like Marines where they just stim and they connect.
Yeah, that's why like Immortal pushes in PvP are so deadly with a Warp Prism because you can just dodge every shot. Yeah, very good control there from GuMiho, and we just have an interesting army. I feel like I haven't seen battle mech like this, especially with Cloak Banshees, in so long. It's just something that has been out of the meta for a long time, but GuMiho is just so... We also have, what, Drilling Claws coming in. So we're going to have reactored out Widow Mines as well. This is a zany composition from GuMiho. I feel like I'm going to have a very hard time just gauging how these armies are going to fare into each other when they clash, right?
You know, it seems like this was designed to actually have done damage earlier, and like GuMiho's looking at it and being like, I actually can't hit that. I guess I got to expand. So this is like the 4th base being taken as the Terrans taking their 3rd. Is Storm done? I think Storm, yeah, Storm is done. Now the Hellions are pretty low on HP. The Cyclones, you know, they have a quite large hitbox, and they're also relatively tanky, so they're not too scared of these Storms, but right now, herO, not with a bad engagement. The Cloak Banshee's actually, though, doing work right now, focusing off the Templar there on the left side, and the Cyclone's actually able to shoo away the Stalkers. The early engagement was looking really good there for herO, but these Banshees are doing so much work. Yeah, he's going to just push through the auto turrets here. The Nexus is getting low. It seems like herO's going to try to come through and save it. And GuMiho's just going to target it down and then resume the fight. The Immortal here on the outside. It is going to get sniped. It does seem like barely there's enough Stalkers here. This is actually going to be a fight that herO can win. Now, I mean, killing the Nexus is great, but I don't know. I think the counterpunch might be really strong here. You know, keep in mind that third base for Terran, I think it's basically like, you know, there's no defenses there. Yeah, it's this naked third base. I don't see what's to stop herO from moving across the map. That being said, herO is not moving across the map right now. It seems like he's just producing. He is getting a Warp Prism, so that might, you know, when the Warp Prism comes out, that might be his cue to then go and do a counterattack.
Yeah, and herO, we've seen him do this in the past where he loses the base and then he just double expands right away. So he's taking 2 expansions, probably even moving around to throw down some pylons, I think, here on the left side. Just get all the vision that he possibly can here. Because he doesn't want to lose any more probes to these Banshees. He wants to try and really simplify the game right now because that initial engagement, although it was really good for GuMiho, herO did a great job of identifying that, yeah, I need to pull some probes, I need to blink on top of these Cyclones, focus them down, not the Banshees, and try and clean up the army. And for the first time in a while, the army supplies have basically equalized. Like GuMiho, it feels weird to make this comparison, but for my Protoss brain, it kind of makes sense where these Hellions and Cyclone plays, it's almost like Roach Ravager where it's a little bit inflated in supply. Like these are very supply-intensive units. And so the fact that herO is now basically equal in army, I feel like means that he's in a very healthy spot, especially now that he's more able to specifically counter what it is that GuMiho is doing. But these Widow Mines are going to be a problem. herO will not be able to go for those same forward blinks as before. That's going to give a lot more leverage for GuMiho in terms of kiting.
By the way, Protoss is getting out of hand with bases here. Stalkers are going to come over here now. Now, if he dives into these Widow Mines, he's going to lose everything. We have Storms coming down. Kind of a funny blink back there. No Observer over here. He needs to clear these mines out as fast as possible. Excuse me, the Observer now comes in. And, you know, I'm starting to think that herO's getting to that kind of point of no return.
Yeah, that was actually a really good engagement there for herO.
Yeah.
Somehow, just the way that his army was filing in right there, even through all of those Widow Mines, he didn't take that much damage. It hit a lot of stray Zealots there in the front lines, and I think the Stalkers, some of them may have even blinked away. It was not the engagement GuMiho wanted. Now herO, he is out for blood, blinking forward, able to pick off 1 Cyclone, 2 Cyclones, 3 Cyclones, Hellbats. Only a couple of them left here on the front lines. Now the Zealot count is thinning, and so herO's going to start microing away. That Warp Prism nowhere to be found here on the mini-map. I think it's all the way back at home, perhaps lifting off some Templars. So GuMiho actually going to be able to clean up these Immortals, I think, Tasteless. A bit of an overextension here from herO.
Yeah, that was bad. That was really bad. You know, right now, well, hold on a second. herO's actually going to try to push in even further. And, you know, it's one of these things where, like, the damage just starts to mount up here. Another nice storm on the Cyclones. We've got the Warp Prism coming in. herO decides to park it there and turn around. Keep in mind that he's on, what, 6 bases here. So, like, he is drinking in resources like crazy. That's going to allow him to get even more gates up here, more production. And he's going to have an overwhelming amount. And, you know, it's a little bit easier, I think, for Protoss to get more of the map than it is for Terran. Terran's always kind of stuck in, like, the little quadrant of the map they're in. Very rarely have we had in StarCraft 2 Terrans just taking half the base. TVZ comes to mind, of course, but TVP is a bit of a different beast.
Yeah, usually only if you play, like, a MMM style with bio and have complete map control are you really consuming the map. As it is here for GuMiho, he's got this powerful army composition, but it really doesn't work well unless it's all grouped up together, and it's also very micro-intensive. You need to burrow these Widow Mines, you need to have the Hellbats in the front to absorb the impact of the Zealots. You need to be kiting with all of these Cyclones. It's a tricky comp to run, and so I think for GuMiho, basically every future expansion, unless he somehow is able to just deck herO's army in a big fight, it's got to be a planetary, because otherwise, it is just really unwieldy moving across the map, trying to defend all these different locations with battle mech. And you see part of that, I think, is going into the calculus for him adding in siege tanks to the mix. And it's really in engagements like these where GuMiho's army shines.
Ooh,
oh, man.
It's a lot of Immortals.
Yeah.
You know, when you get enough Immortals, it's really hard to even dive onto them, you know, especially with units like this.
Dude, you look at the minimap, herO's going for like a 270-degree arc on this. Stalkers coming on the top side, Warp Prism and Zealots on the left, Immortals here on the bottom. GuMiho just going to be kiting towards the Stalkers. I really like that move. Just try and focus on one small section of this army and use the Widow Mines to try and really stop the rest of the push. And now GuMiho can kind of abuse this ramp location a little bit here between the 4th and, I want to say, like the 5th base. I've lost track. herO's expansion pattern has been so erratic, but this is a great spot to try and siege up. And herO's going to try and push him out. Keep in mind, there are still a lot of Widow Mines, but the cooldown on them hasn't yet reset. herO actually able to take down those mines before they get their next volley off. Another warping of Zealots here on the top side. He's looking to get another surround. Probes are falling. A blink forward. No Widow Mines in sight. The Cyclones have to kite back. Banshee's doing a lot of damage, but I feel like GuMiho's just getting the better end of this with the Cyclones on the bottom side, Tasteless.
I mean, he's starting to chip his way through this. The question is going to be, can herO re-max out here with what he's got?
Dude.
The Nexus is going to fall.
I think GuMiho's doing it, Tasteless. herO, he's fighting back, but look at the army supplies. It's 41 to 89, and we were singing herO's praises in terms of his income, but with this base going down, I don't know if he's going to be able to get the 2 or 3 warpin rounds that he needs to be able to stabilize. And look, you can see it's even frantic. Usually herO, who's so on point with blinking away for Widow Mines, there's just so many fires he has to put out in this moment. It's hard for him to keep tabs on everything. And oh man, GuMiho could even hit this base from the low ground. I didn't consider that angle.
Yeah. It's a pretty abusive position. I mean, herO's going to try to max out again. GuMiho, when in doubt, just an absolute monster with these Cyclones. He's going to wipe out that base up there in the top. I don't think we're at the point of no return here, but it's really cool to see herO kind of up against the ropes here, so to speak.
Yeah, herO right now is teetering on the edge. One more bad fight, and it's basically game over for him. He needs to secure another expansion. He needs to play very safe here on the top of the ramp. GuMiho's army, although it is powerful, these Cyclones are very low on HP, especially here on the front lines. There's not a lot of Widow Mines to support them either. But, I mean, from herO's perspective, how do you really engage from this angle, right? Like, you can't even blink on top of your own mid-hero line because all of those Cyclones in the back are going to instantly lock on. You really need to set up, like, an arc and hit from multiple angles, but it doesn't work. GuMiho just stutters stepping on top of this. The blink forward, nothing survives, and GuMiho is fighting back in game number 3 in a way that only GuMiho can. GG, we've got a series, Tasteless. GuMiho is on the board.
Thank God. Thank God. GuMiho gonna ride out of this tournament on a Cyclone. You know, something I noticed back there, clearly the Stalkers are all on one other hotkey, and then everything else is on another one. Now, that's not bad, it makes sense, right? The Stalk, but what happened is when he's trying to surround, the Stalkers are the weak part of the surround. So anytime the surround would happen, you just watch GuMiho plow into the Stalkers. And because of that, like you were talking, it was like almost like a 270-degree surround. He was never able to get the surround off because he was trying the way the hotkeys were arranged. I don't think we talk about this much, you know, in GSL, but like hotkey configurations get really technical. And when you're trying to get a complex position like that, you can end up messing yourself up because you end up with a soft spot in the surround.
Yeah, you
basically... He was like trying to surround like around a high ground area. You know what I mean? It was like a huge, huge arc. Anyways, guys, game 3, let's do this. Sorry, game 4, I was testing you. Well done. Okay. Okay, herO at the top, GuMiho at the bottom. Yeah, you know, I just, what do you think of that take, the surrounds and the hotkeys and everything?
Yeah, I feel like in that kind of situation there is herO, you basically just need to go manual control and have a section off like the armies that you need and the compositions that you need. But it's very tricky in the heat of the moment because, again, there's just so much chaos going on. Like, you know that like Cloak Banshees are on the map and GuMiho is just poking and prodding basically everywhere with these Cyclones and Hellions trying to find an opening. And for herO, as you were saying, to make that concave work, you can't have one specifically weak spot in the concave where it's just like a group of 12 Stalkers. Because if GuMiho micros against it like he did and just pushes the Cyclones towards that, I mean, they have moving shot, right? So the rest of your army on the south side is chasing. The Stalkers at the top are getting pushed back, and suddenly your position basically just collapses. From herO in that spot, you kind of need to have the perfect mix. Or not even perfect, but at least a little bit more nuance in terms of having a mix of Zealots and Stalkers, ideally with like Immortals and Archons and Templars also spread in, just to really complicate the math on the engagement there for GuMiho. Because again, if it's just Stalkers on one side, it's very easy to make the instinctive call of, all right, that's where I'm kiting. I'm going to find out how that goes, see where herO is going to react, and then just reset the position in a favorable spot. But it's tricky. I mean, those kind of armies moving against each other is one of the more technical things that you have to control in professional StarCraft 2, especially on the Protoss side. It is
you know what
so
I call
snowbally.
Yeah. I call it ugly hotkeying. Sometimes you have to ugly hotkey.
Yeah.
Where you're like, okay, this is all these units overlap and it doesn't make sense, but it's not what it's for. You're not here to try to spam out a bunch of abilities at once. You just want to mix. It's, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. It's like a mixed bag of nuts. You want the mixture of these units here, like 2 Immortals, a couple Zealots and Stalkers. That's one. The other one at the bottom, that'll be the attack at the top. The one at the bottom is 2. Kind of a similar composition.
Right.
Anyways,
I wonder if GuMiho is going to go back into Battle Mech in this game.
I think if GuMiho wins this tournament, there will not be a single game that's not Mass Cyclones. Assuming it's PvT the whole way through.
Even in TVT, I mean, it's GuMiho.
Even in TVT, yeah. What am I saying? Like, yeah.
GuMiho's the kind of guy like match up against random and not even scout. Just be like, no, I'm going Cyclones. We'll make it work. I'll find a way. The Cyclones take it, or Cyclone. Now I'm called Stalker Cyclones.
What's up, bro?
Yeah, look at this micro here from GuMiho. Even the body block.
Oh, who wins this? I love that it just disappears like it's Looper, man.
I both love and hate it. We talked about this earlier.
So this is a bug on the map, apparently.
Yeah. All right, the follow-up Stalker is going to be able to get revenge for his fallen brother and take down that Reaper. But yeah, there's a bug on some of these new maps. I'm not a map maker. I don't know exactly how this works. I don't even know how to fix it. But this is not like the reduced violence.
I want to be clear. State
option.
Actually made this map. All right, he's lying to all of you. It's crazy. He's a crazy person, and this bug is his fault. And he knows why.
But yeah, sometimes units just disappear. There's nothing we can do about it. Hopefully it gets fixed. I was wondering if that Adept actually was going to shade here into the main base, because I think those Marines that are in the orange, I believe there's still 2 shots in the Adept to kill. It's hard for me just to eyeball that. So it's not a surprise that herO is just going to be a little bit more conservative with this micro. We have a bit of a mix-up here in terms of build, by the way. Faster Robo here for herO behind the second gateway. This is looking more like it's going to be 3 or 4 gate Stalker pressure here on Torches, which is the kind of style that does better into Cyclone than what herO had done in the previous game. So he might be trying to preempt this, but looking at the way that GuMiho is developing now, it's not looking like it's going to be Cyclones. We have the engineering bay going down, the starport is developing, this is a 2-on-1 opening, so it's a relatively standard build. I really thought he was going to dip back into the well with the Cyclone, the Battle Mech, here in map number 4, but no, GuMiho just going right back to standard play.
Okay. Stim coming in here. Couldn't have been more wrong about that Mass Cyclone play. Let's see if this actually pays off. But, the truth is, GuMiho really is good at the kind of randomization of build orders. You have to be able to, especially when you get a series like a best of 5 or a best of 7. Sometimes there are these cues, or these, maybe clues, little subtle things that a player will pick up on, make these tiny adjustments, and then he'll be unstoppable. So, the fact that he's mixing it up here is important. The Observer's going to see Stim being upgraded.
Yeah,
and that's when he knows. Yeah, you see 2 barracks and Stim coming. There's no question as to what this is. So he sees the full breadth of the tech, and he's going to drop the Observer. Nicely done.
Yeah, just wants to make sure if he does go for that double drop that it's not going to get spotted, especially because there's Stalkers in the middle of the map. I think GuMiho probably just going to be trying to anchor the defense back at home. There's no bunker. herO might just pounce on this position. The Adept confirms with scouting. The bunker goes down. There are no siege tanks on the field, and these Marines are going to be so easily kited by these Stalkers. We almost have more Stalkers than Marine. It's 12 to 17.
It's actually kind of crazy. Yeah, I mean, he's able to just shave these Marines off one by one. Oh, I didn't even see there was an Adept down there. I actually had to do a double
so
thing.
many SCVs. I didn't notice that either.
Yeah,
I was locked in on the Stalkers.
Exactly the same thing for me. Now, GuMiho's doing some decent damage to these Stalkers, but...
Uh-oh, tasteless. I think herO's building a little bit too much momentum right now.
Feels like it. It really does feel like it. This is 45 probes to 29 SCVs. So, I mean, that's a pretty insane lead right now. He's nearly doubling them in that. And I think with a War Prism coming into the main, I don't know that the Terran's going to be prepared. He's going to try to drop this, so you can't really do a Warp in. He's been trying to target the the War Prism, but it gets away. When the third tanks come out, I can't talk today. When that third tank comes out, usually that's when the Warpins have to stop. You kind of daisy chain the tanks together. It's like one at the natural, one in the main, and then one connecting the two on the low ground or high ground. He's still trying to get this medevac.
I feel like GuMiho recognizes that he needs to get some kind of damage done. That's just the reality of his situation right now. That Adept in the natural expansion actually got so much. I wish we had like a replay of it or something, because
no, it was funny. It was like I didn't see it at all when it was down there. I got really confused when the explosion happened at the bottom of the screen.
Yeah, I was just so tunnel visioned in on the Stalkers. I think GuMiho also might have been tunnel visioned on the Stalkers, because what I'm suspecting might have happened is that the SCVs were just meleeing down the Adept, and it looked like the Siege Tank was attacking the Adept. And if it was doing that, then it's getting the splash damage done on the SCVs too. So many SCVs fell that GuMiho was basically forced into an all-in position. This might have been his game plan right from the get-go anyway, but he really doesn't have much of a choice right now. It's 36 SCVs in total to a herO that's about to be on 3 saturated bases. The SCVs are getting pulled.
Oh my god,
but we already have Colossi out on the field.
Dude, that's so sick. The fake Colossus. It's going to be really hard with those two next to each other to tell which one is actually fake. He might not even realize it's fake, too. But anything to soak up a little bit of extra damage is going to be massive. He's going to bring this first Colossus out into the front.
Yeah, it takes one shot from the Siege Tank and recognizes that he needs to peel back from that position. And GuMiho, he's just trying to slowly leapfrog his way into a spot where he could be attacking to secure the ramp here at the natural expansion. Oh, be careful with that Colossus there, herO. Already very low on HP. Would love to see him actually drop that bot down by the shield battery and charge those shields back up. Colossi, very good against SCV pulls, by the way. These SCVs are not going to be adding a lot of HP to this army if those Colossi take them down.
Oh my God.
A lot of sentries right here at the third base. GuMiho going to have to lift those ones back up. Stalker's not able to focus down that medevac, so we'll be able to retreat and regroup. GuMiho, he has to be so careful. Oh, I love this from herO. Just sending 5 or 6 Stalkers to intercept the reinforcements. The Colossi here with a Warp Prism of the natural, anchoring the defense of the expansion. If herO can hold on to these bases, if he can save the day, he is going to the finals. Everything is on the line right now. Marines microing back. herO hitting on every single side. The Zealots are on top of the bio, and herO has just wiped the floor with his Terran army. He is going to the GSL Codes finals.
GG. herO looking just incredible. I love the Stalkers coming up from the bottom. Terran units, when there's small numbers, they're so brittle. Having like 5 or 6 Stalkers in the rally point line, it's just going to kill everything. It'll kill Marines, it'll kill tanks, it'll even get medevacs. Beautifully done. herO going to the finals. We got a Protoss. Now we've got one more TVP to decide who herO is going to face off against. GuMiho, I gotta say, he got bested. He really got bested back there. I did not know that, herO was gonna dominate quite like that. Very short series, by the way. Let me check my phone. It's 7:23, so that was under an hour.
Yeah, with the exception of really that battle mech game, everything was very quick. And this is now gonna be herO's 3rd GSL finals appearance. Looking to be yet another Protoss champion, and he's been talking in interviews and online about how much it would mean for him to win another GSL Codes title. And man, I am excited. He is looking so good right now. GuMiho has been killing it so far in GSL Codes, and herO just looked like he was on another planet in those PVTs. Really, it was only battle mech that it seemed like he was struggling with. And if that's the case, I don't think herO is going to be able to do the same kind of battle mech style that GuMiho did. I feel like herO is going to be kind of playing his own more 2-1-1, more bio-heavy style. And it feels like herO has a very good read on how to perfectly navigate the early game and hit also some very strong timings with Templar, with Storm. He looks like the complete package. I see why basically everybody in Codes in their interviews was like, I don't want to be in a group with herO. He scares me.
He looks so clean, so perfect. We're going to be right back, guys. We've got a short break and then the next match in the Final Four.